This is Roddy Vision with my boy Rich Moody right here. You introduce yourself, Rich. You introduce yourself.
Yeah, man. Richard Moody, that's all.
Word,
no one important.
Yeah, man. He's very important. He's one of my bros, long time from yesteryears past. So we're gonna talk today about Justice League, and just how we feel about it. And you know what? I'm always talking, so I'm gonna let Rich jump in. I'm probably gonna bounce off him a little bit because I feel a lot of ways about this movie. I'm real excited, but Rich, what you think, man?
I think Justice League was amazing, and it's tough to describe right at this moment because I'm still processing a lot of it. It's definitely history in the making, in a sense where you're seeing two visions of two different directors on the same exact film, and that's something that we're going to be talking about for ages.
Yeah, I kind of feel about it like it's a win for the people. I feel like this is something where people wanted this to happen and then it actually went down. Because how many times have we heard in the past that there's a different version to a movie or something else going on and we never see it? We actually got to see a realized vision, to see what could have happened and see how it was meant to be. It was awesome. And I feel like we were talking about this earlier when we were setting up for today, and you can go into this for sure, but everything that was the same felt different and felt new, and it felt like there was context and it felt like it hit more or it hit differently. Like,
Yeah.
What do you think about that, bro?
Yeah, man. It was pretty nuts. Like, I'm looking at some of the same scenes. I watched the Josh Whedon version, the same week. Yeah. Come to watch this, and I'm trying to compare scenes mentally, and I've even seen some videos where shots where they're side by side, even with the Wonder Woman scene where she was first introduced. It was totally different. The score, the lighting, the saturation, everything was different, and it felt a lot better and exactly the way it was supposed to feel. I think that it was too many cooks in the kitchen with the Josh Whedon version, and it showed.
McDonald's cooks.
Exactly.
so before I go in, like I want to make a point on that. Is like I'll give some examples. Like obviously Steppenwolf was completely different, like the original version. He was the real version from Batman versus Superman. But like a lot of the Wonder Woman scenes are great examples because even like her lines felt delivered differently. Like when she says Kal-El, like you know who you are, it felt kind of silly in the Josh Whedon version, but in this one it was like really compelling. Even Steppenwolf's story was compelling. And also, I want to throw this out there, we'll talk about this later. My girlfriend, she was saying that the movie was an emotional ballad. Like it took me through various feelings, and I feel like people give Zack Snyder a bad rap. But before I go there, the 4x3 actually worked for a lot of the superhero moments because you're an artist. As you know, comic book panels are squares, and superheroes fly upward. So the dude thinks about it in respects of the creativeness of a comic book. And like when Superman flies up into space, and he basks in the sun to get energy, that looked better in 4x3 than it ever would in 16:9. I thought it was
It's pretty amazing to see the vision in its entirety because there's a lot of things that the Josh Whedon version was missing, such as the origin stories of like Cyborg and his issues with his father, him coming into understanding of his gifts and learning how not to look at it as a curse. That was definitely emotional and a good touch in that movie. I think the movie hit on so many different notes, so many different levels, man. It's like it had everything.
Because you're an artist, like I keep saying, man. Like the scene where he had the financial bear and the bull fighting
exactly
in front of the stock exchange, and then he showed money, and then when he gave the girl I was like, dude, like how could people not like this movie? Like
it's nuts.
Who just love controversy to be controversial nerds. Like I know somebody that hates Zack Snyder that loves Chris Nolan, and they love this movie. But a lot of people give Zack Snyder a bad rap for being overly visual and not having enough soul in his films. But this is one of the most soulful films I've
by far
by anyone. And the other thing too is that, to be honest with you, I don't think we are served by time. We're served by different artists. And you would say that Avengers was the first team up movie, but I would elect to say that Zack Snyder had a better emotional story with more compelling characters, because in Avengers, they were all just petty and arguing with each other.
Yeah.
Not to mention, they got together over the fake death of a person and started arguing and broke up like 2 or 3 years later for no apparent reason. None of that stuff with the Sokovia Accords really even made sense. Marvel, I give them respect for their organization, but that was a damn good story, that Justice League, bro.
Yeah.
If you have,
it's good. It's great. I'm glad that you brought up, Josh Whedon's Avengers, and I give big respect to it. It was done well, but it's also good to see some competition. I grew up personally. Maybe I'm a little biased, but I grew up a DC guy all the way. I knew more about the Justice League. That was my bread and butter, man. But putting all that aside, it's good to see how I feel like Zack Snyder capitalized on all the missed opportunities that the Avengers failed to capitalize on, such as, like you said, the emotion. I felt it more.
Dude.
I felt it more just as a movie. Just like the things we brought up with Cyborg and him giving money to the poor, or even like with Flash. Like, I felt like Flash, the way they depicted it, was a lot more powerful than anybody on the Avengers team, just by the fact that he went through the glass with a point of his finger. Like, he really did a good job at displaying everybody's abilities, pointing out the emotion. You really feel it.
Yeah. I was gonna go into the emotional aspect because I think the standout people were definitely Aquaman. Him talking about whose father just died, and you got him going into a death machine. And I think Flash stood out. Flash was the heart, because Flash on the team, even if it's Barry's less comedic, but he is a very light character in the comics. And then I think Grant Gustin plays him very well on TV. But like when they both met each other in the CW, they were both like, they're very nerdy people. But the Flash was the soul of that movie. When he smiled, I smiled, bro. Like, that dude is amazing.
Oh yeah, his abilities. The guy ripped through his shoes. He ripped through his shoes. They just, in one scene, they displayed how powerful this man was, and the fact that at the end, he turned back time. That's how fast he could move. He turned back time. The fact that the urgency, the urgency in this movie versus the Josh Whedon, the Justice League back in 2007, differently.
Dude, like, the urgency was real. The world was gonna end, and it was all happening in Mexico and not like Chechnya or whatever the hell that was in the Josh Whedon version. But here's what I want to say about the Flash. I wanted to talk about two things you talked about. You talked about how we were kids. You were Justice League people. I remember buying the Return of Barry Allen comic book the weekend that Justice League premiered on Cartoon Network back in 2001. Bro, I was obsessed with the Flash in 2000. I used to watch the 1991 show when I was a kid. Now, if you know anything about the Flash before the cartoon, before the TV show ever, time manipulation, teleportation, electricity, the white dwarf punch. He can punch like stronger than Superman by generating energy. Now, here's the thing: Superman, if he catches him, he can break him for the simple fact that that he's Superman, but then he can generate enough energy to like destroy somebody, bro. Like, I loved it when he touched the parademon, and the parademon like obliterated and like hit the wall.
Yeah.
Like, dude.
And look at the differences. Like, it's a good example. Speaking of the speedsters, look at how Barry Allen is handled versus Quicksilver.
Yeah.
And Age of Ultron. The guys running around with a little wind behind them versus, Barry Allen, like I said, ripping through his shoes.
Yeah.
Running through glass.
I like the way the Speed Force looked. I like the electricity. I like the way it bounced off everything.
100%.
What they didn't emphasize in you.